Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Grateful Not Greedy podcast. My name is Kris, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, and her name is
Rachel. Hello.
Rachel's here. Rach, it's been kind of an exciting time, I feel like, recently. We've coming into the holidays, which is lovely. I'm sure you're enjoying that. And we are coming into fast into a new year, and that is also lovely. Always interesting and gives us opportunity for change or opportunity to stay the same, keep what you love, dump the rest. So I thought, we've been talking lately a little offline about what we're kind of thinking about for the next year, what might be cool to try on, do we want to do some different things? Do we bring in a different hobby? What kind of goals do we want to have? So let's focus on that today.
Yeah.
Maybe just get a little idea, because I think my impression is that you have a really useful way of kind of setting out your New Year's, and I do not. So I'm like, I made it to here. Yes, fantastic. It's another new year. Yes. And I maybe don't do as much. I do a year end, but I don't do as much of the how is this next year? What's going to be different a year from now?
Yeah.
So let's talk about kind of New Year's resolutions, New Year's opportunities, New Year's excitement, whatever we can kind of position in the grateful, not greedy landscape of how you remain grateful, not greedy, but then also look forward to more gratefulness. How do we set that up, et cetera? And you are in a great position to help us with that. So let's dig in.
Yeah. Thanks, Kris. I'm not the one that sets like the resolutions where I make a big list.
You're not
There,
at the gym on January 1st,
Yeah.
Rach? Like you
Not
didn't
at the
just
gym.
pay $5,000 for your yearly membership and you're going to be there
No,
every day and you're on it.
no, but I do. I have one of my favorite traditions is teaching 108 sun salutations on New Year's Day, and I
Oh,
really love that. Like that is like one of my favorite things. And one, it forces me to get up. If I was up late the night before, I'm like, gotta get up, do my 108.
so true.
And it just really, it's been years I've been doing it and I love it. So that is a tradition for me on New Year's Day. You won't find me at the gym. You'll find me on my yoga mat surrounded by a lot of people trying to make it through 108.
Those people, yeah, those are the people who are doing the New Year's resolution of I'm going to do my yoga every day. I'm
Yeah.
going to be out there on my mat. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
You're surrounded by a
Um,
lot of resolute people. So that's awesome.
maybe, or like a glutton for punishment, whatever, however you want to
Exactly.
say it. Just
I'm going to remind myself not to drink so much on New Year's next year.
totally. Because by the end, you've done at least 216 forward folds. Your
Oh,
hamstrings are gonna feel it the next day 'cause you
totally.
do,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
It's a lot.
108. No,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we should probably just tell us. I don't know. I feel like people who are following along maybe know what a salutation is, but that's a whole series in yoga as part of the flow where you gotta raise your hands up and then put your body down in forward fold, then you half up again, and then you're back
Yeah.
down again, and then you're like, let's go into a plank. So it's like this whole thing, and then you're like, let's get out of the plank. So so
Yeah.
doing so there's probably what, I don't know, 8 or 10 steps within each sun salutation, and so then to do 108 of them, yeah,
Yeah.
that's exciting. That's exciting.
It
Okay, so you
is.
got that
It
going
is.
on,
So I
but
got that going
that
on.
can't be the whole resolution.
No, that's not the whole resolution, but it is one way I welcome in the new year. The other thing is I do take the time to look back in the year. And every year, I guess, I don't have New Year's resolutions. I have a word of the year. And that word is one word. I limit it one
Okay. Yeah, love
because I
it.
can remember it. And I actually should pull out my bracelet. I those little word bracelets you can make. I
So cute.
make it and I put it on me so I can remember it or remind myself at different times. So I really, really need to be aware of it. And so I spend right now, I'm already thinking what's going to be my word of next year. So in 2025, this year, my word was thrive.
Yes.
And it's the word of I felt like over the last couple of years of doing work on me and growth, I felt like this year was a year for me to really thrive, to bring it all together. But I've had other words like wholeness.
Ooh.
And that one represented I have everything I need within me. I'm whole and complete as I am. And instead of trying to look out, my goal was to look in. One year it was the word free because I needed to see myself as free. Right.
Yeah.
And so they're just a single word that can have many, many layers to it. And it's
Mhm.
not about like getting a certain achievement. It's not about getting a certain weight. It's not about, reaching a certain goal. It is a reminder, like a mantra almost. And
Like a
I love
theme. Yeah, it's like
a
a theme of
theme.
the year. Yeah, I love it.
Exactly. And it started with some of my girlfriends here in Hawaii, that our little tribe here, and we all work on finding a word together individually. Like we all have our each of our words. Um, but there's a time to like look back and say like, where did I come from in the last year? And one way to do that is, we all have phones and there's all pictures on it. It's super fun to
Yes.
flip through and notice all the things that you've done and the things that you've experienced, because I personally like to snap a picture every once again to just remind me and like
Yeah.
go through it and be like, okay, thrive. 2025 is thrive. How did I thrive? And I go through it and I look at it and I was like, wow, I've done so much. I've traveled with my son to Japan. We've gone to, New Zealand. I've been to Australia. I've been, like, and not just travel, but like I've hosted these dinners. I've gone to this place. I've taught here. I've,
Yeah.
explored there. And like I grew this flower in my yard, all of those things.
Yeah, that's
That
great.
just to as a way to look back, and a quick way. And it also like it talk about getting that gratitude, that feeling of gratitude. I definitely can find it there when I am able to take a little time and flip through my pictures starting in January and just going and just
Yeah,
going through it. It was like, stumbling across times that we've been together, times in
totally.
Hawaii and like
I'm
a
thinking
lot of
it's a great idea just to, I mean, pause as we are all talking grateful, not greedy, New Year's edition. That's sort of a cool thing to put in your, okay, so say you pick a word, whatever the word is, free or, wholeness or whatever it is, and then you put a little folder in your phone for those
mm,
photos. So when you're doing something like super cool, like you're talking about, yes, of course, you'll be able to go back and find some that are, from here or there, dump them in there. But as you're actively in pursuit of that and you're like, hey, this is a thrive moment, or this is a wholeness moment,
mhm.
or this is a da da da, you
Yeah.
drop it in that folder. And how cool would that be at the end of the year then to go back and you like on your New Year's Day night, or day, New Year's Eve night, the Eve day. I love that day. That's like one of my favorite days of the year. As long as I don't have year end stuff, but like on that day to be, I know, like I'm like thinking of taxes or whatever, but to be able to do it and then you like, throw it up, cast it up onto your TV or whatever, and then it comes all the way through. And you're bringing up such a good point because that's the gratefulness. So often we're in the conversation of oh, I made this resolution to go to the gym and I didn't get there, or I made this resolution to lose X amount of pounds and I didn't do that. I didn't do. But when we've been talking a lot lately about these more general, like this is what I'm going to accomplish in general for the year. In general, I'm going to be thriving for the year. That's my
Mhm.
goal, is to thrive.
Yes.
In general, I'm going to be free for the year. That's my goal. So, that's, like, such a cool reminder, even every month, you can just, like, go look back through your Thrive folder, like, "Hey, what's in there?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that because that is grateful in a nutshell right there is,
Yeah.
not focusing on what's not, but focusing on all
What
these
is?
amazing times, and even, like, what you're saying too is also awesome, was, "Hey, I grew this flower." Like, we
Yes.
don't think of that as, like, a New Year's resolution. I don't know many people who are gonna be like, "Hey, I'm gonna grow a flower." But
Yeah.
that is a very valid, exceptional New Year's resolution, right? Like, I'm going to take care of a flower. You could metaphorically, use it any way you want. I would actually use an actual flower, but you could say, I'm going to take care of a flower. That could be whatever. But to have that even as a resolution, as a goal, is awesome. Like, and that's
Yes.
enough. To your point before, like that's enough. I'm whole. That's enough. I took
Yeah.
care of a flower for a whole year, like all the ups and downs of that flower, right? And
Right.
that's what I did. And I learned a lot from it. And I journaled about it. And I took all these pictures and this was really cool. Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just great. It's just great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love
Keep
that.
on.
That is a
That's
great
awesome.
idea. And when I sit down to flip through my photos for 2025, I'll create a Thrive folder and call it Thrive 2025. So I will always remember my word
Yeah, it's
of
so
that
cool.
year and be able to look back. But I do feel like when I have this idea, I really view this as like savoring. savoring moments, right? Like reliving them and seeing a picture, and like it actually will light up our brain and like put us back in that moment. And that's like the beauty of being able to flip through those things. So when you filter it and put in all the Thrive ones in a folder, like you suggested, that would be amazing to like just get that whole like feeling of living in that moment of where those things are thrive, like where you felt you were thriving, and like kind of anchor it in. And that's like why like wearing the bracelet is helpful, because like I see it, it reinforces it, it reminds me. And you can have it on like your phone or your, whatever, your keys, whatever you need. So the challenges is like, what is that word for you? Like what word do you want? And so like I would sit and I just like jot down words as they pop up. I keep a little notepad and I'm like, do, like here's some words that are popping up. Here are the things that I'm, thinking of. You can always put it into like ChatGPT and be like, here's some words I'm trying to think of, and it'll give you other suggestions. Because it took me a while to get to Thrive. I remember kind of working my way to it, and it was, like, kind of, like, looking at this weird puzzle of, like, go this way, then that way, and every year it's like that, and it's fun. I make it fun, not, like, heavy, like, "Oh, I need a word," like, it's a part of my conversations with people. It's a part of my conversations with my girls here. It's a part of a conversation, even with my son. It's always a part of it, and, there are moments and I'm like, "Am I thriving? Like, am I thriving?" It's like quick check-in, like, "How am I thriving? Or what do I need to do to thrive here?" And so I don't have a word yet for 2026. I know.
It's like
But
mic
I
drops, like, "Da, da, doo, no word yet,"
yeah.
which is actually cool though too, Reach. Like, that's, I think, encouraging for all of us too, because, I wouldn't wanna give the impression, like I said, I don't always do this big New Year wrap up, and I wouldn't wanna give the impression that like, "Oh, this is some big plan that you have to think about
Mm-mm.
forever, and, if you're not
No.
doing it yet, you're screwed," so that's
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, and it's one word. Like, it really is one word, and it could be, like, smile, right? And it could be, one of my girlfriends, it was pause, and that's all she was working on that year, is just pausing, and I was like, "What a great word." And it's just
What a great
a
word. I'm like, "Ding,
word,
ding, ding, ding,
right?
ding."
And,
Mine would
like, the
be like,
word
"Slow down." Yeah, like, "Slow
yes.
down. Take it easy," or whatever.
Take
Yeah,
it
like,
easy,
there's
pause
yeah.
in that moment, stillness, like,
Mhm,
another word was play, and I was
mhm.
like, "Yeah, play, brilliant," like, and imagine
Brilliant.
all the images and all the things that you stick in that little folder of all the play you did that year, and how much play you were able to surround yourself with.
Yeah.
And there's so many. I mean, like that word free that I picked, it was so helpful. And it wasn't just like I'm free, it was like freeing myself of my past, freeing myself of like these old stories, freeing myself to say yes. Like that was one of my
Mhm.
goals. When I was free, I was like, yes. I was like, you want to go
Right.
here? Yes, let's go there. Like I'm
Yeah.
in. Sign me up. And like that was like that one little word helped me filter questions that year. Like, what do you wanna do? Where do I
Oh,
wanna go on
yeah, like
vacation? Like, okay,
yes,
my word
right.
is free, okay, is that for free? Like, how does that align up? And it's just like, you can think of it as a resolution, you can think of it as a value for a year, you can think
Yeah.
of it as a theme, you can think of it as a lot of ways.
A
Resolution, I
discipline,
just
anything, yeah,
yeah.
anything.
And for some reason, resolution, the word that one doesn't work for me as much, because I feel like there's so much that says like resolutions never like they're like set up for failure sometimes. So I love the idea of like a theme, like you said, or a value of your year or whatever. And it's the one word, and it can be as playful and light or mean whatever you want. One of the girls, one of their names was love one year, and that just means she wanted to focus on that and like more moving from her heart, right? And like less doing, more feeling. And they've been they sound simple, like very simplistic, but they can mean a lot and direct a lot in your decision making and your feeling of the year. So I don't know, Chris, like the question for you is like, what do you want in 2026? Like what
Yeah,
words
I
or
love how
what
I love how you're framing it too, because it's like, and we could we'll definitely talk about resolutions, so don't go away, right? It's like
yeah.
we'll throw that in here for sure,
Yeah.
because that's something that I like resolutions. I don't
Mhm.
typically do these big things, but what I love about this is the flexibility, because what what you're saying is like, okay, say I choose, like, honestly, it's like slow down, like, uh you and I know that I've been in this conversation this week of like, slow down. There's no
Uh,
emergency. Well, there was an emergency. Even if you think there's an emergency, the bigger emergency is in front of you, right? Like the bigger emergency is what you're rushing away from or what you're rushing the experience or whatever. That's the bigger emergency, right? That's the grateful. Your greed is like, oh, I got to go do all this other nonsense that I'm making up. Yeah, so I love that you can just put it in like thematically, but then on the grateful greedy side, we don't have to get greedy and say like, "Oh, well, I can only thrive this year. I better be thriving. That's the only thing that's available to me." No, like you could thrive. You could also be whole. You could also play. You could also be free. You could,
yeah.
you're not, it's not just because you choose. I think like your point about the weight is really important because it's not just because you choose a word that you have then discounted every other word in the dictionary, right? Every other
Mhm.
way that you could possibly
Yeah.
grow this year, you have to say, "Oh, I'm not going to do that." It's to center you. I mean, this is a very much a mindfulness exercise that I'm envisioning as you're talking about it. It's very mindful, right? Because you're in any context and you can say like, "Oh, what was that word?" And what I would love to bring in that conversation, like you're saying, what do you want for this year? That's a calling. That's a calling. That's how I see it, right? So,
Yes.
if I can lean into my intuition in that moment and say, "What do I want for this year? What am I being called into in
Mhm.
2026?" What is that word that I'm being called into? And maybe for me, it's slow down. That is definitely going back and forth in my little mind. But the other thing is to just get still and sit with it and let the words come to you. So, I mean, maybe that's part of your process because when you're saying, "I haven't chosen a word," I almost feel like it's not as active a process as people might think it is. They might think like, "I need to choose a word, like I need to choose I don't even know, like a destination for my wedding." Like, no, like it's not that kind of a thing. Like you need to choose a word, like you need to allow yourself to receive what is coming for you next year. And how are you going to best be prepared to allow
Yes.
that to come to you, right? So that's how I see it in the grand scheme, and that's the grateful part. The grateful part is not only do I have all of 2020 whatever, 6, 9, 8, any of those years to focus on this, I have right now in the time to have that future in me, to have that future right now, because time and space, whatever, it's like right now exists in me. So how cool is that? And then just being able to like journal, just throw down, kind of like throw up a bunch of words, like when we do that like idea generation, you're just like
Just jot it
no
up.
bad ideas, like you're in one of those like writing
Mhm.
rooms or whatever, no bad ideas. And you're just like, how about Santa Claus? How about, like whatever, how about plants? Okay. And then you do that whole thing, and then from out of that comes something, you know, something super creative and cool.
Yeah, and the piece of that is like I can rattle off some of my previous year's words because I view them as building blocks. Like I don't forget the free, I don't forget the wholeness. Like I'm not going to forget thrive. It's like what am I carrying forward? And it doesn't go away. Like thrive is not going to go away. I'm taking it with me and what do I want to build next onto it? I feel like I'm building like my castle here, or my like, massive tower. And what
Yes,
what what bricks do I want to bring in, and what brick is going to be this year of like what I can continue to add the foundation. And they do build on each other.
I
They
love this.
really
Yeah.
do. And it doesn't have to be like one of the reasons like I start thinking about it usually towards the end of November and we start chatting about it in our little group is because I like to like we talk about trying them on. Like we like try them
Yes.
on, we like mess
Yeah, how
around,
does that
like
feel? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how does it feel? Like, does it still resonate? Like, I jot it on my list and I like cross it off and put it back on, or and it gives you like the time and the space. And there's been times that I think one of my girlfriends she couldn't figure it out and she just figured it out by the end of January. Like, it's like it
Yeah,
doesn't have to
yes,
happen
that's a good point too. Grateful, not
January
greedy.
1st.
That's right. Yep.
Exactly. Like, it's just a line in the sand, and I would probably say I would set more, quote, unquote, "what you view as a resolution" on my birthday. Like, those would be tangible goals. I did those on my birthday. It seemed
Yeah,
logical
I love
because
that. I
It's
love that.
like,
I'm a you yeah, I'm massive about the birthday. I'm like
yeah,
a
like,
go alone into my monkdom and, like, reflect on
yeah,
the year
you
before.
do.
That's actually it's a good point. Like, that's when I do
Yeah,
my yearly rehash because that's much more
exactly.
personalized to me, and you're right, like, 'cause the delineation of New Year's, like, okay, December 31st, and now it's January 1st, and really nothing has changed, but on your birthday, I feel like I just personally
That's
feel much
yours.
more spiritual. I feel much
Yeah,
more aligned
it's
with the
your
world.
day.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and it
really,
is
like, part of
it is
me.
marked. It's marked as your
Yes.
birthday. Like, I remember from 50 to 51, right? Like, I was like, "Okay, what did I accomplish
I don't
from
remember
turning."
that, Rach. I don't know that number
I
yet.
know, you don't know
I
that
don't
yet, yeah,
remember. Maybe
I know.
35 to
One
36.
day
One day I'll remember
one
50 to
day
51.
but, like, I mean, I
Yeah, tell
remember
me all about it.
clearly. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you about it. Clearly on the 49 to 50, I was like, "Okay, like, what are my goals? Like, what do I wanna achieve?" But even in my 20s, 30s, I remember this, I would sit on my birthday and say, "This is where I wanna be in my career. This is what I wanna be doing. This is how I want it to unfold." Like, I said, like, "This is what I wanna be earning." Like, I would set, like, clear goals and then what we would call, like, resolutions. I do those on my birthday, like what I want my life to look like because it's that year. It's my 51st year, and I was like, okay, in my 51st year, here's what I want to achieve. Here's where I want to go. In the calendar year, the word, however you want to do it, you can set them in, or you can make your word on your birthday. It's fine too. But it's just it's a nice way to mark the beginning of a new year. And this year is actually interesting because according to numerology, we're in 2025. When you add the numbers together, it equals 9. And numerology, we go in 9-year intervals. So this is ending a
I'm
9-year
gonna have to
chapter.
enter the Twilight music. Hold on, let me mark this for our producer. Okay. Enter Twilight music here. Now we're talking like
Yeah.
numerology, which I know nothing about.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it's
yes,
so it's
it's
like
help us. I don't know
I
anything
love
about it.
yeah, I love learning it, but the idea is like, maybe you found the second half of 2025 challenging. I certainly there was a lot of things happening from, June on, I was like, "What is going
Yeah.
on?" And one of the pieces of the numerology of viewing the 9-year cycle is this is ending our 9-year cycle, so things are coming to an end, things are having to get sorted out, things are happening, and if I look back and go back 8.5 years, I can see very clear beginning of this chunk of my
Cycle.
life.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's been a cycle, and I was like, "Whoa," and when I started seeing this stuff happening and these changes happening and this push, like, almost this drive in me to wanna change and to do some things, in this next/6 months, it wasn't because it was June and December was coming. It felt like there was a big end to something. And so the other thing is like for me this year, as we step into 2026, it begins another 9-year cycle. And so for me, this one stepping into this one feels not necessarily bigger, but I'm like, wow, I joke around like I'm in book two. I
Right,
feel
that
like I'm
yeah, but, like, there's a big thing going on here that you're kinda
yeah,
setting a footprint in. I kinda get your
yeah.
point. Yeah, you're kind of, like, laying out a much bigger map this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, I do feel like I've started a new book or a new chat. Like I feel like it's a new book in my life. The second half, like 50 plus, I get 50 more years. What do I
Yeah.
want with it? And it's like the first 50 years, I finally feel like I get to pick me, and I
Yeah.
get to decide instead of all these other things coming in, and coming to the end of like raising, kids or children or, all of that. It's like this end here of 2025 feels for me significant. So that's probably why the word this year is not it's not that it's not coming to me. It feels like important. Because I'm like, okay, I'm starting off. Like this is like I always joke around book 2. I feel like I'm out of chapter 1, maybe in chapter 2, maybe I'm heading into chapter 3 at this point, who knows? But,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm through the character development, and now I want, to kinda set the tone.
Yeah,
And I
like,
feel
you
like
wanna
a
be
word
yeah,
can do
you
that.
can be more, like, more design I feel like even just yeah, more designing and, less like, "Okay, I've gotta build this brick," and then, "Okay, I got the Thrive book, I got the da da da," like,
Yeah.
"Here's all my bricks," and now you're like, "Okay, I've already built the Taj Mahal, right? So I'm good, right? I've got that built." And now it's like, what adornments do I wanna put on this Taj Mahal, or what experiences do I wanna bring into the Taj Mahal? Do I want a menagerie, or do I want like, that kinda stuff, like Yeah, I think that that's really a cool thing.
Well,
Okay, so I
and I
love the
think well,
concept
wait
of
one second. I wanna go with your Taj Mahal because 'cause I'm like, I feel like I've built the Taj Mahal. I feel like I've just excavated. Like, I feel like I've been through
oh, that's
excavation.
totally different, Rach.
Yeah, like, I've been, like, digging
Well,
and
if you
messing
excavated, it probably wasn't the Taj Mahal.
no,
That's an
like, I was
important point
starting with
right
a
there. If
plot
you
of land.
excavated, it was probably the piece of crap they built next to the Taj Mahal
No.
before they realized, like, "Oh, we really need to build something way better." They're
No, but
like,
I
"Here's
feel
the
like
Taj
I've
Mahal."
gotten like I this last chunk of time was me like excavation and like, kind of clearing things out and like looking at what's down. Like I was like, this is getting things like cleared out. And so that's where I'm like, okay, okay. And maybe it is the Taj that something like that, the Taj Mahal that I'm building. But I feel like this last piece was like excavation, get in there, dive deep, get dirty, get messy, and then, like, now I'm like, I've got some flowers growing, I've got something, and now what do I wanna build here? And I think last year this past year was be the beginning of that, and then I can continue to build onto that. But I love that you're like, "It's the Taj Mahal." I'm like, "I'm not there yet. I'm gonna get there, though."
I just think you just look like the Taj Mahal, so I think why not, you know?
Thanks.
I mean, it's like, why not build the Taj Mahal?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. It's like, well, whatever you're building, and that's another point too, just like even to think about like the heaviness that comes with New Year. Like for
Mm.
me, like I think there's a potential, to really put a lot of emphasis on this year-end stuff, and yes, I get that if you're thinking about it very tactically from business, sure, yeah, there's stuff that you have to get done at the year-end and, whatever, it's really important, very important, whatever, but in terms of your life expands across these arbitrary boundaries of, "Oh, I finished on December 31st. Oh, da, da, da." So whether it's your birthday or whether it's, Valentine's Day or whether it's, no, I don't know, April 12th,
Yeah.
whatever day you choose, right? You can say you can choose any day to be a new year, right? Like, any day you
Yeah.
can get up and say, "I'm grateful. I'm not gonna be greedy that it's not I can't make a New Year's resolution because it's not January 1st," it's like, I can't do it that day. Um, but any day you can do that. So that's, to me, the grateful part of this conversation, among many other things, is that the new year can begin any
True.
minute you want, right? And it doesn't
True.
even have to be a year. It could be new year, new years, like you're saying, new 9 years,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
It
You
could be
can
the new
say,
moon. Who cares?
could be the new moon,
Yeah.
100%, exactly, and why not? And, like, why not adopt it that way? So and it could be the new month, it could be, like, whatever you kinda however you wanna design it, and I think that's a really important conversation here, definitely in grateful, not greedy. Don't be greedy. We don't have to be greedy that it's, "Oh, I didn't get that New Year's resolution done that day," or, "I didn't get to the gym for the first 3 days of the new year, so that I'm gonna
Yeah.
scrap that." No, it's like it's a renewal, it's a change, it's an opportunity every single time just to be like, "Okay, what am I gonna do?" So, okay, now let's talk about the gym people. So for those of us who are like and this is funny too because I, until this past year, I was more consistent with, like, these classes that I take, like, these exercise classes, and I've done a lot more of my workouts, like, from my house and I've just kinda shifted things up in the last year. Not happily though, I will say, like, I'm not psyched about it, but just doctor's orders. I'm like, "Okay, I'll do what you say for, like, X amount of time, and then I'm outta here." But, I would always, like I kinda would forget, and so December would roll around, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool." I go doing my workouts, no big whoop. And then literally, I, like, go on the morning of whatever, January 1st to, like, sign up for my class, full. Full, 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 full. Like, there's not a room, there's no space. And then I'm like, "Crap, like, what's going on?" And then ding, 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 because, like, it's interesting, right? Because I'm just,
Right.
like, living my life like normal, and I go to class often enough that it didn't occur to me to make going to class as the thing that I was gonna prioritize, and that me and, 2,500 other people were gonna do the same thing in the same studio and, like,
Yeah.
jam up the classes, and then, people who are just, like, living their life moving along now don't have access to those classes, right? So, I think, like, that's kind of an important thing too on 2 sides. One is, like, if you're that person who's just kind of going to your classes and da, 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 and then all of a sudden there's all these people coming in. Instead of being greedy, the greedy is, "What the heck? what are all these people doing here? They're not even going to be here for another month. Like, why do they even
Right.
bother? Like that's the greed, right? But the grateful, I feel like, is, hey, just like when they discontinue the lipstick that you've been wearing for 20 years, it's your signal. Like, time to move on or time to try something new. Or like, hey, what can you do this week that's different?
Yeah.
Because
True.
that's the grateful. The grateful is, oh, I'm actually psyched that I can look at this as an opportunity that all these people want to take this class, and good for them because I get all these rewards for doing these classes. Like, I feel great, whatever. And so I'd like to make sure that someone else has an opportunity to do that. And then that then makes available to me another resolution, another something awesome. Now what can I create that's different from my plodding along
Y-
routine, which isn't a bad doesn't make it a bad thing or a good thing, no judgment. But you're plodding along routine. It's like, I go to this class, I love it, makes me feel so good. Da, 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 da. I've been doing it for so many years, literally like 10 years, and it's like, well, to our points, in the past podcast, it's like, well, do you need to do it like that? Is that the only thing that you can do? Is that what's working for you? Is that where the growth is? Or is that your massive comfort zone that you're never
Yeah.
leaving for the rest of your life? Like, what is this about? Right. So
Yeah.
I would say, even in terms of the opportunity to set New Year's resolutions, have at it. Yes, I think it's amazing. I think you totally should do that. Yes, whatever. But on the flip side, the greedy thing is, please don't beat yourself up when those resolutions don't work for you anymore, or they never worked for you in the beginning. You just did them because you thought that's what you should do. Oh, I
Sure.
should do this gym thing because people do that. Oh, I should whatever read more because people do that. I should try take a trip because people do that. But do you want to do that? And that's where this word comes in that's so helpful. So instead of having like, "Oh, I'm gonna get to the gym." My New Year's resolution is to get to the gym 30 days in the first first month
Yeah.
of 2020, whatever. Instead of having that, you could have a thrive.
Yes.
So it's like, if I'm thriving, like, what does that look like?
Right. And what does that look like in all of your life? Right. Not just, it's thriving in like your physical capacity
Completely.
and health and
Yeah.
wellness, but thriving in your family life, thriving in your relationships, thriving just, in your sleep. Like, or,
Right. Oh, yeah,
how are you?
this is a big one too, to prioritize that, even it doesn't matter
Yeah.
how old you are or whatever. Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's another point. Well, I think in my impression, the emphasis on these New Year's resolution is on production. And that's why
Mm.
even as I'm contemplating my word, this word of slow down is such a critical word. Is it a word? 2 words, whatever, theme, uh, because, um, because it's the opposite of producing
Yes.
more. It's the opposite of, "Look at me." It's the opposite of, "Look at all this stuff I've done,
Yeah.
accomplished." It's the opposite of accomplishment, in
Yeah.
terms of overt accomplishment. But for me
Yes.
personally, slowing down, that's a massive accomplishment. That's a
It is.
massive accomplishment.
And it's like when you look at it, it is something that for me, the words that I have picked in the past are things that I want to cultivate, that I want more a part of me that are in me, but not a shining or not a big chunk of me. I know that they exist, but they haven't been focused on. Right. I know you know how to slow down. I've seen it. But to do it on a regular basis, like for me, like I can thrive or I can, feel whole, but like to have it be a consistent on a like, have that feeling be consistent on a regular basis and have it be, across all the different sections, all the different cups that I fill in my day, have it be present. And yes, like, there can be tangible goals, but it's that's that, it ties back to our previous, podcast of over functioning. Like, are our
Yeah, for
resolutions
sure.
going to feed the over functioning in our life that exist, in my life that exists? And how can this is one of my struggles is like we equate being busy as good. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
don't know if I want that. I've clearly picked to live in a place, in a town that it's not necessarily valued as busy as good. I did
right.
that intentionally,
Yeah,
but
it
I
forces
still
you. Yeah,
yeah, but I still come from that space and I still value it and I still see it, still people saying like, "Oh my gosh, you're so busy. That's amazing. You get all stuff done." And I'm just like, I don't know if I wanna, like, applaud that. I'd be like, "Wow, like,
yeah,
can you create more space in your life?" Like, imagine that conversation when someone says, like, "I'm doing this, this, and this," and you're like, "Wow, do you think you could create more space so you're not doing so much?" Like
Right,
And
right, right.
and
That
people
love what you're doing here, that's great, but yeah, what
yeah,
about the where's the space? Where's
right, and
recess in
yes,
this in
and
this school schedule? Where's recess and lunch? Yeah,
yes, and you can see it even in our kids' schedule, like, recess is, like,
totally.
tiny, and I guess the
Yeah, it's like 10
question for,
minutes. Yeah,
for me often is, like, if I'm saying what my goals are in 2026, I'm like, "What am I removing to make space for it?" Because I'm not getting more hours in 2026. I
no.
might even you could argue
Mhm.
I'm getting less because I
Right.
like, it's just, like, just happens that way. So
Yeah,
if you're leaning in and if you're going to make these resolutions, what are you taking off your plate? How are you making space? Because you can't shove more in. I
uh-uh.
even in my world here, I can't shove more in. I have to remove to make space for what comes in. And so
Yeah,
that's where I have to be mindful stepping into each year of like, it's not just what do I want to achieve in the next year. It's what is not serving me now that I can remove
uh-huh,
so I can make space for
uh-huh.
what's next. I mean, we know, until we're open and have the space for something, we can't receive it. It's like there's only so many slots in your closet for shoes. You got to get rid of some to
I don't
make
know,
for
tell
new.
my closet that, Rach. I don't know. I don't know if my closet's got the memo, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, imagine if we just functioned in that way, right? And there's only so
Yeah,
many slots on your calendar, and there's only so many, hours you can spend. And part of the resolution process or the process of thinking about what the next year comes for you is not just adding on, we have to subtract too.
right,
And
right,
I
right,
say,
right. Yes, I
I
love that.
I take my words and I build upon them. And yes, I will still have freedom in my life. I still want to feel free and I want to feel whole and I want to thrive. But I also realize like that I will bring those forward as values. That if I was making resolutions about like getting this done and doing this and like learning that, I'm like, I have to take something off. And does that mean taking a class off? Does that mean like saying no to something else? Does that mean like finally hiring
Well,
someone to do my
that's good.
yard?
Wait, Rach, so listen to that because, like, even as you're talking about that, that's true because think about even these New Year's resolutions that you say you're gonna do, you're going to add to okay, say it's the gym. I'm gonna get fit or I'm gonna work out more, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
That requires time, that's gonna take something from something else. So as a circular loop, right? Like in that whole piece, well then do you just have all this extra time now that you're just, pissing away? Maybe you do, and maybe that's fine. Or are you going to have to cut into your sleep? Are you going to have to cut into
Yeah.
your dinner time with your family? Are you gonna have
Yes.
to cut down on your friend time, right? So
Yes.
it's like a multifactorial kind of thing because now this is I love this, right? Because this is not only am I getting these resolutions, but I really have to back that down to resolution, priority, value. What am I saying that I'm going to commit to? What am I saying is one of my core key values? And the reason that people don't keep showing up to the gym is that they haven't absorbed that value. They haven't taken that on as them. They've just, like, put it over there, like, "Hey, I wanna, get in shape," and, there's all kinds of, ways that you go about goal setting, right? Like, in
Yeah.
terms of, like, setting small tasks, accomplishing them, moving to, creating bigger things, etcetera, but you have to understand that in creating these resolutions, to be resolute, you have to, you have to take on the value proposition that you're giving yourself. So the value
Mm.
proposition with I'm gonna get to the gym all the time is I want to create health. Health is a priority of mine or looking great or however you see this gym thing, right? Or like having the socialization with my friends because we all go and row crew together or something. Fine. Okay, great. But what is the value behind that? And what is the willingness and the direction to taking that piece on? Because that filters into a lot of the gratefulness of how cool is that, right? Because then at the end of the year, you're saying, I created the value of health and wellness, in my life for 2026. That
Mhm.
was like my core value. And my priority was getting based in that. My priority was getting to the gym and getting my labs done and getting some physical thing that I wanted to do. Or not getting injured, if you're younger, like that's always a thing too, like not getting injured or whatever you have. And to do that, what I took away was, these superfluous, meetings that I would do with about my dog, or I'd do these games on the phone, in the morning instead, and I would stop doing that. Or every morning I just had the habit of calling whoever and, shooting the breeze, and I just don't do that anymore. So you kind of have to say, where are your values shifting, or committing to? But we talk about this a lot. Everything can't be equally as important. That's not how life works, right? So the gratefulness is, I'm grateful that I can make this thing important this year. Try it on.
Yes.
Try it on, but you can't try it on without committing. You can't try it on and then, it's like when you go on a new drug or something. It's like you need to give it a couple weeks. The doctor will tell you like, "Hey, give it a couple weeks," da da da, and you take your blood pressure, medication for one day, and you're like, "Oh, that didn't work. I'm
Yep.
not taking that anymore. Like that sucked." It's like, no, that's not how it works. So that's like an important part too. Is a year is a process. A year is not one day at the gym or 2 days at the gym or whatever at the gym. A year is a process of taking your measurements. Maybe you weigh yourself, maybe you don't. Maybe you have a physician along with you, maybe you don't. Maybe you've decided to do the buddy system. Maybe you've decided part of this is accomplishing a big race and you're going to do a triathlon or something along with that. But then even as that goes along, just being able to evaluate. We've talked about this a lot. I feel like in other podcasts is being able to evaluate where you need to make changes and adjustments so that you can still be proud of yourself for that big word or that big goal or
Yeah.
whatever's coming, that this resolution is part of you being resolute. And that is a resolution requires you to be resolute, and that's true. Like that's for sure true.
Yeah. It's true. Yes. Yeah. It is such a key part of because what you want to like, what I want to be sure I do is whatever it is I'm trying to set my theme for the year or a resolution. I want to be successful, right? I want to set everything up
Well,
in my
yeah, that's
possible
what I'm trying to
way.
set us all up for.
Yeah,
Exactly.
is like, I wanna be
Yeah,
successful,
definitely.
and you're right, like, I wanna be like, one of the worst feelings is making a resolution and then not achieving it, and especially when I make my word or a resolution, I tell people, the people close to me, because 1, I have to own it, 2, it makes me accountable.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I'm like, "I'm gonna be free this
Accountable, and
year."
they can support you. They can say like,
Yeah,
"How's it
they can
going, Rach?
support me,
How's your Thrive year going?"
and they
You'd be
can
like, "Oh,
point
I'm
out when I
thriving
am
amazing." And they yeah,
yeah.
send you an article. They're like, "Hey, found this on Thrive."
Totally.
Yeah.
On Thrive, but then there are also the ones that are like, "Hey, what you doing over there? Doesn't look like that's thriving right now." Like, you know, and
Right.
that I
Yes.
appreciate just as
Accountability
much
buddies. Yeah.
as, like, the person that's cheering me on, right? And so for me,
Mhm.
setting it up for success, picking out whether it's your word, your theme, your resolutions, and then the other piece is then making it known. Right? It doesn't you have to announce it to the world, but you can tell the people near and dear to you. You can wear it on a bracelet and people ask you about it all the time. Let me tell you how many questions I've had about those ones. Um, and it's like owning it. And once we say it, it becomes more real. Once we share it, it becomes more real. When people ask us about it, it becomes more real, like all of those things. And then all of a sudden it becomes more a part of us. But whatever, setting yourself up for success of clearing the space for it and then owning it and sharing it and figuring out a way to remind yourself. And, as we're talking here, I'm starting to get this idea of like, and or one of our podcasts we talked about, I was like, I need to be better about picking me first. Like instead of making sure everybody else's cup is
Mhm.
filled and taking care of everyone else,
Yeah.
I need to do what's right
Same.
for me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, maybe that's where my word is going to come from this year is like self, right? And whether it's self or pick
Mhm.
me or something like that, like I'm still trying to figure it out. But I was like, if that's what I want to be held accountable, if that's the value I want to instill, if that's something I want to build, it's like a skill. If that's what I want to focus on building this
Yeah.
year, like I think that might be the area of focus for me because that is something I know I struggle with, like that I know I can develop more into. And B, I know it'll make my life more full, more vibrant, and more of what I want. And so I guess like kind of those are the filters I apply when I try to
Yeah.
think of like what are the words? Like what words am I reaching for?
This is important, even as we're, like I love these discussions because here we are now, like, coming we're always like, "Okay, and one more thing, and one more thing, and, like, think about this, and da, da, da." But what I love about the New Year's resolution, if you're gonna choose the New Year's resolution, if you're gonna choose the word, if you're gonna choose anything, is this one precious life, grateful, not greedy, grateful
Yeah.
for yourself, grateful for what you can do in the world or what you could not do in the world, and
Mhm.
grateful for that this opportunity is massively a time to prioritize yourself. Even if your priority is, I want to be a better father, I want to be a better mother, I want to be a better daughter. That is still not, that is still about you. And it's still for you to, to prioritize yourself and who you want to be as a person. That's still not to say, I'm going to give up my whole, I'm going to give self-abandoned, whatever they call it. I'm gonna give myself up to, like, to please this person. No, you're saying, "I want to grow through the experience of being a better father. I wanna grow through the experience of being a quote, unquote better," however you qualify that, a better daughter, a more supportive, friend, whatever it is, and then put that together and then saying, like, "How am I gonna be what are gonna be how am I gonna evaluate if that's true, right? And in these ways, and I'm gonna do these things." And that's where the goal setting comes in, which, you and I are pretty adept at. It's like then you back in the what would make me feel that I'm doing a better job as a daughter?
Yeah.
How would I show to myself that I'm being a better daughter? And these are the ways, whatever those ways are that you can define, or you can look up, or you can chat GPT and do whatever you want,
Mhm.
and then put that together. But the focus being, how am I prioritizing myself? Because, the rest of the world can prioritize themselves. Like, they can do that. But no one else can prioritize you the way that you can, because you're the only one who has the inner workings and the whole essence and the whole inside, information, the whole blueprint, everything to kind of say, like, what's in here? How can I prioritize this? So I love this because I never conceptualized New Year's resolutions as being prioritize of self until
Mm.
you just said that, and you said, "I'm gonna work on that this year," and I thought, "Well, isn't that always how we're working on it? Isn't that always part of a New Year's resolution?" And then how that works is, okay, say fine, I've found one little avenue of way to better myself, and you found one little avenue way to better yourself, and your, little mini tribe there has found a way to better themselves. And then our greater tribe of grateful not greedy has found a little way to better each of themselves. And the magnitude of that betterment is astronomical, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible, incredible, incredible if each of us is building on our, and like you're saying, and if over time, each block is building and building and building and building, and each of us is doing that, because now we are Rachel, now we are building the Taj Mahal. Now it really is the Taj Mahal.
Yes.
It really is. It is. We don't have to destroy anything. We just keep building it. It is the Taj Mahal, and it is spectacular. It is that way. Like, then when you extrapolate that to the community and the lives that we're building, on the big sphere, is like, now we have made the world a better place. And these resolutions have meaning, and these resolutions are important. And these resolutions can be, can be things that we carry through if we're just not so hard on ourselves about how it has to be. It has to be this resolution.
Mm.
And I have to get to the gym, and I stopped going, or, I gave up this for Lent, and I ate chocolate. And so now I can't do anything. No, no, no. There's, like, lots of opportunities to be grateful, lots of opportunities to not be greedy, skip the greed, and just be grateful for the progress that you're making, because you as a person are contributing to all the greater good. In these New Year's resolutions, when you decide to better or to improve or to, do less in any
Mhm.
way, my impression is that that's good for everybody, the whole world.
Yeah, it's so true because I feel like the closer we get to our true self, right? And to like our evolved self, the whole world benefits from that, right? Like the only
Yeah,
way
definitely. Right.
we get better as a whole is we get better as individuals first, right? We know how we can best serve ourselves, we can best shine bright, we can best show up for the world. And the only way to do that is being true to ourselves. And it is not something, um, that was modeled so well growing up, right? It was like take
Right.
care of others and
Yeah.
do others.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
this is where, I think some of us have like I can speak about me. I've lost that way. And I'm working hard to, bring it back. And, I was speaking to someone who was giving me some advice, and his response was, he said, like, when you do this work, he was like, you will be able to heal more people around you. And so it's like, I always think
Mm.
to heal more
Yes.
people is to serve
Right.
others. And he's like, no, that's not what it means for you. For you, you will only
Oh,
be able
so
to
good.
heal more by doing this work. And I'm like, okay. And by him saying it in that way was so much better than saying serve yourself, because then I could understand, like, it's not just me being
Yes.
taking me first, it's me. As soon as I can do that,
Yeah.
I will be better at everything else I want to do and every person I touch, and the mother I want to be, the daughter
Yeah.
I want to be, the partner I want to be, the sister I want to be, like all of those things. And it's not by giving up more of myself to be that
Yeah.
sister. It's about taking care of me and being my best self. And then through that, I will be a better sister, and I will be a better mother, and I will be a better
That's
daughter.
awesome. Yeah, because we don't have to get hung up on the selfishness or anything like that, that kind of
Yeah,
it feels, I know some of these things feel heavy.
it
It's just like,
feels.
"Oh, am I just speaking that on?" And, is that
Yeah.
just all about me? Yes, it is all about you. You're welcome. Yes. Yes, it is, and because it's all about you, it then becomes all about everyone else because we're all, the connected, I hope, in some strange way, right? So,
Yes.
yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, in terms of my takeaways, I would say I love the word. I can grasp onto, and it's kinda scary though, Rach, I have to say, even though I'm sitting here, "Hey, I'm thinking about my word," but I'm also on a podcast talking about what word I'm gonna make for a whole year,
See?
da, da, so
Yeah.
I'm feeling it, right? Like, I just wanna get that out there for our whole tribe, like, I'm feeling this too, it feels, it feels, like, weighty, and I know it doesn't need to feel that way, so I'm gonna keep
Mm,
processing through that and then get to the what, because that's just there's some resistance in there to, like, picking a word, like you're saying, like,
yeah.
slow down, too much of a commitment for me is honor yourself, too much of a commitment for me, like, what the heck, like, what is that? Because that's definitely sitting with me. Those 2 are, like,
Yeah.
bouncing back and forth for me, and I'm, like, feeling a little constriction in my chest, honestly, when I just say it out loud. So I just wanna, be with everyone as you're coming up with your words or you're deciding how you're going to approach New Year's differently this year, if at all. There's this little process, and you might just feel this little
Yes.
pang in your chest, and like let it come, and let it just sit there, and just like process it through. It will keep moving, and whatever you choose. So the word I love, I still love resolutions, even though I'm not like a massive resolution person. Like, I love
Mhm.
the concept of resolutions. I love that you can put a line, down that date and say, it's not going to be like that anymore. Or I'm going to have it be different. Or, this is the year I'm not going to be pre-diabetic anymore. Or this is the year that I'm not going to, you know, just put up with the way that my mother-in-law treats me anymore, like, whatever it is, like, there's all kinds of stuff. And the grow one flower, like, this is a big takeaway for me, right? Your New Year's resolution could be, "I'm going to take care of one plant for a year." Can you imagine? It's not easy to take care of a plant, especially
Nope.
depending on which plant you pick. Don't pick an orchid.
Uh,
Unless you live in
oh, you
Hawaii, then
say
pick them
that.
all.
That's
But,
what I
like,
love.
if you
I
live
love
anywhere but Hawaii, don't pick an orchid.
it.
But, it's like, okay, so if I'm gonna grow one plant, I love that, right? I'm gonna grow one plant, or like, we don't have to make it like this New Year's resolution is, "I'm going to lose 300 pounds." Like, "I'm going to, become so strong that I could lift a car." Like, no, it could just be, "I'm going to thrive," and then how am I gonna feel good about the fact that I'm making progress in that thriving position, whatever I'm saying I'm gonna thrive in. Yeah, so that's great. So the word, love. New Year's
Mhm.
resolutions, I love as long as they don't have the pressure that's gonna make you feel like a failure for not having accomplished those. So let's put some stop gaps on that with, like, focusing on the more thematic approach of If you're going to want to do the gym or whatever, as an example, like, okay, my ultimate goal is health, or my ultimate goal is looking really good. My ultimate goal is being able to fit in this dress and be healthy while I'm in it, whatever it is, or not, have some of these, not diabetes, whatever. And then just take care of one plant. Take care of one plant. It can be as simple as that. And
Sure.
through that process of taking care of that one plant, you're going to learn so much about yourself. If that is your focus, for a year, that you're saying, like, I'm going to take care of this plant, think about it. Like, now you're gonna go out of town for a few days. Oh shoot, what about my plant? Oh, now it's turning green, and you're like, or like, but yellow, and you're like, oh, I want it to be green. Oh shoot, I got to go talk to someone. I have to see what I need to do about my plant, right? I have to go buy something different. There's so much into it, like taking care of one plant. And that's just a seemingly silly example, but just to show you, you could take one simple project almost as a New Year's
Mhm.
resolution to get so much good information about yourself, like so much good information about yourself and about your contribution and about whatever it is you want your life to be about, the simplicity, the complication, whatever it is, like that to me those are my massive, massive takeaways. And this has been super helpful to position kind of the next few weeks in the new year.
Yeah, and for me, I just like you, I have this, like, trepidation about picking one word. I'm like, "Oh, one word," and then and no matter how many years I've been doing this, it still is like, "Oh." And so I acknowledge that the challenge of that, the reminder that whatever it is I pick, I have to make space for it. I have to clear some space, and that was a good reminder today, through our
Yes.
discussion of like,
Good.
if I'm gonna add a focus, I have to remove something because I'm not getting more hours in 2026, and and for me, a reminder of like this idea of I'm opening up a new 9-year chapter. And what is like, I feel like this word is kind of setting the stage for me of like what it's not just this year, it's what am I planting the seed to thrive in the next, chunk of years. And, it's exciting. And there were moments of 2025, I certainly wasn't thriving. Like they were struggle, like it wasn't like I was like, wee.
Right. Yes.
But overall, like, when I have flipped through some of the pictures so far, which I will be creating my little folder called Thrive 2025. I love that idea.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true, that's right, that's another takeaway is that folder,
yeah,
yeah.
the folder, like, I will create that and be able to look at that, and that will be something I can be very proud of and still and savor what I've created in this past year and inspire me to continue forward to the next. That's so helpful. That's exciting. It really is. And here's what I do know. We are gonna
It
do
is
like
exciting,
a
that's kind of like the yearbook.
yeah, and here's what I'm gonna commit to today, because I will say this. I will be clearer, hopefully with the word, by the time we have to do our wrap up for this year. Like I will be clear on what my
What?
word is. I
No
know.
way.
And
Okay.
I'm not asking you to do that.
Oh,
I'm
shoot, do
giving
I have to do the
myself
same
that.
thing? Reach, the pressure. Oh,
I
blah, blah,
know.
blah.
But that's for
Maybe I
me.
will be
That's for
too.
me to
I'm
like
gonna give you
get
I'm
there.
gonna give a soft commit on that because
It doesn't
what's
say I
my
have kicked
resistance?
it.
I just have to check
It
that out. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't say I've kicked it, but it says I'm in the process of narrowing it down. Right now, it's just a slew of
yeah,
things, and I wanna
yeah.
get clearer in
And
the
the
next
word
couple
doesn't,
weeks.
that's the thing, it's like, there's no right answer.
No,
Like,
no,
there's
there's
no
no
right
pass
answer, there's only a
failed.
commitment to make,
Yeah.
and what commitment am I making? And, I almost feel like I'm getting married. It's like, which word am I gonna marry? I don't know, there's so many words, and I'm just gonna marry this one person. I'm just gonna talk to this one word for the next whole year, Like,
Yeah.
what word
Um,
can that be? I'm gonna forsake all other words, for this word. So, because this is my first time picking a
I
word
know, and
and
it is a big
thinking about
yeah,
it like that. So I appreciate that. It's awesome.
yeah, yeah,
It's awesome. And then we have the yearbook and all that. Yeah.
yeah,
So I
for
love it.
sure.
Reach.
Yeah,
Thanks for another impactful discussion that gives me a little item list of to do things that I need to that I'm going to go get on and start putting in my little headspace. It's
yeah,
fantastic. I'm very grateful for this conversation. Grateful for a new year. Grateful for a new day. However you look at it, and certainly not greedy that I need to make choices and I'm allowed to make choices. Honestly, it's like the greed of like, I don't want to have to make a choice. I don't want to have to think about that same thing the whole way. I don't want to have to, make my little folder and be accountable to that. Well, then
yeah,
I'm just going to be the same next year where I'm going to be sitting here saying the same thing. So I
mhm,
know I don't want that. Right. So like, that's the counter.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for being here, Rach. Love it.
Thank
Just want to
you.
remind everyone, please, it's so awesome if you can subscribe to our channel. You can listen to the podcast. You can get little updates of when they come out. And that really, really helps us just to keep getting the content out there to everyone that's important. We have a little Facebook page, Grateful Not Greedy. We obviously are on Instagram at Be Grateful Not Greedy. And lots of ways to connect with us. So always feel free. Drop in on our DMs, subscribe, keep up, because you and I and Rachel are all going through this together. So, I'll just keep on keeping on. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
So with that, I will say this has been, is, and forever will be the Grateful Not Greedy podcast. And I appreciate you, Rach. Aloha.
Aloha, Kris. I appreciate you as well.